We believe in both the first screen and the second screen, so we're agnostic in terms of supporting both screens. We do believe, though, that at least at the beginning, the really big numbers and the really moving experiences that we think will change the advertising and programming ecosystem are on the single screen. And we think that because the consumer experience is so much easier. And it is really so much about supporting what the viewer is doing when the viewer is watching television. So let me just give you an example of that. And the best example is the one we just talked about, which is the Olympics. So we've been making the Olympics interactive for many years. And we just finished doing it on Dish and Verizon, and I want to talk about Verizon in particular because it's a great example. So the experience would be I'm watching the Olympics on NBC on Fios, and a prompt comes up on your television screen that says, would you like more information, would you like to interact? Press select, and if you press select on your remote, which is likely to be sitting right next to you, all sorts of deeper, enriching material comes up on the Olympics, like medal counts, like leaderboards, like video highlights, like athlete bios. And so if you're watching a particular athlete and you want to know more about that athlete, you can simply click on that bio and learn more about that athlete. If you want to know where that athlete is in terms of status on leaderboards, you can click on that. You can click on video highlights of that athlete. So what we're doing is we're taking content that is completely connected to what the viewer is seeing on television and giving them a deeper experience. We make it so that the programmer can actually do very little. And there are two ways the programmer can do very little. So the first way is that most of the information is supported by data feeds. So you simply integrate the data feeds, and the information, our technology puts that data onto the television screen based on what the viewer selects. So a leaderboard would be data, or news stories would be data. The other way we make it easy for the programmer is we take on as much of that production work that the programmer feels they're prepared to cede to us. So some programmers want to, want to really sort of hold that very tight, and other programmers want to just have kind of editorial control over it. And what our job is to make that as easy as possible for them, depending on what their particular, inclination is in that regard. All we use is the up, down, sideways keys, and the select button.
That's it.
That's it. Right. So I mean, you could be the most technology-averse person, and it's like navigating your program. It is the simplest television navigation that you can engage in. So let me just say one more thing, because I want to go back to like the power of the single screen and give you a couple of statistics. So over the course of the Olympics, 40%, that's 40% of the people that had this additional material available to them used it. 60% of that 40% came back multiple times. So that means not only did huge numbers of viewers use it, but they liked it enough to keep using it. Now, here's really the big advantage for a programmer, and then we can switch to advertisers if you like, but here's the advantage for a programmer. So the more people I get using this interactivity, the more time they spend watching my channel. And by the way, we all know that fragmentation and mind share for programmers is really, I mean, it's one of the things that they have to deal with most, right? As most people are now sitting in front of their televisions, using their smartphones to tweet, right? What we're trying to do is get people to sit in front of their television and more deeply engage in the actual content itself, rather than extraneous stuff unrelated to the content. Okay, so what happens is the viewer spends more time viewing, and as a consequence of spending more time viewing, the ratings go up. And we've seen, we've done this a whole bunch, and we have actually seen ratings increases of anywhere from 5 to 20% based on the way users are using this particular content. Now that has big ramifications for the bottom lines of programmers. The other thing programmers can do is they can insert advertising in the interactive content so that they now have an entirely new opportunity for advanced advertising inventory that they've never had before. On the advertiser side, if we take 30-second national inventory and we take that inventory and add interactive elements to it, so we add we overlay on top of it something that is actionable for the viewer, right? What we're doing for the advertiser is we're taking the value of the most powerful brand building medium in the world, and we're overlaying on top of that the measurability, the data, the incremental engagement, and the easier to measure ROI on top of all of that. So you're combining all of the great stuff of the internet with the branding power of television. And that's kind of like a no-brainer. We are engaged with Comcast, Time Warner, Cablevision, Dish, Verizon today. We are engaged with Sony on their smart TVs, and we're talking to all of the other traditional distributors about doing what we do on Comcast and Time Warner for them, and we're talking to all of the CE manufacturers about doing what we're doing on Sony for them, with the idea of bringing to the advertiser and to the programmer a singular platform that will allow them to create all of this content and publish it wherever their viewer is. And at the same time, we have been engaged with virtually every single major programming group in the country. So it is predominantly domestic. We're not doing a lot of international activity. We have some kind of tangential activity going on in the UK, but predominantly we're domestic.